Yo, what's up? This is Splendid Radio on Pharcyde TV with my co-host Jeremy Scipio.
What's going on, people?
And a very special guest, young man that I've gotten many passport stamps and whatnot with, Mr. Dan Hastie. What's up with you, man?
Hey, man, doing well. Thanks for having me.
No, all good, man. This is gonna be a good conversation. I always started off with hip hop. And we're going to talk about a whole, we're going to take it around the world. But where were you the first time you heard hip hop and what was the song?
Well, I mean, if I'm going to take it back, probably to when I was about 6 or 7, early to mid 80s, it would have to be Run DMC. That was just the first thing that I heard that I was like, this is some different shit. But actually getting into like hip hop would it probably still be more in high school, probably around 14, 15 years old is like when it really kind of hit me, and I was like, wow, this is, in the early 90s is when it really like kind of like made its way into my head.
Yeah. Did you ever think it was going to be as large as it is?
I don't think so. I think I was just, it was just something that moved me. I never really thought about it from that aspect. I just felt that it made sense to me because it was just a natural progression from the music that I was already listening to,
What city did you grow up in?
I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, like right in like the kind of the West Valley area. Suburbs are like Canoga Park, Woodland Hills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hip hop, when like my focal point, even though I heard Rapper's Delight was probably like the first hip hop that I heard at the time that I heard it, even though it was new, it was pop music in a sense, because it was so new. And there wasn't really this thing called hip hop, that it was just something that was kind of played on the popular stations and it was something that was whatever. But with Run DMC, it was a trip because what they did was so new that it just blew my mind, man. It 100% blew my mind. Like as far as hearing scratches, the rhyming and rhyme styles, and then their style within itself, just the Adidas and just all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, it was mind blowing. I actually have this memory. I remember when my first friend that actually got the record, and this is back when we all had the little ghetto blasters, and we just kind of like, we put the two together. I pressed record on one and he played. I think that's how I got my first Run DMC tape. You remember doing some shit like that when you're a kid. And I'll never forget. I listened to that tape over and over and over again. I mean, it was the best thing I had ever heard at that time. It's kind of funny. I almost forget about that, but it was huge. I think every kid was into it at that time. I don't know. It just kind of blew my mind.
Nah, that's dope. What's your favorite hip hop movie?
Man, my favorite hip hop movie. What would I have to say? Probably like Wild Style or Breaking.
Hey.
Yeah. Just that classic shit. I can't, I got to DJ a set with Crazy Legs once. I got to hang out with him. That was a cool experience. Just that whole part of it. So
yeah, we've been getting some weird answers lately when it comes to that, because people have all these technicalities. It's always refreshing to hear like Breaking and Wild Style, just
what are people saying?
They say it's like you guys served and all type of, it's been getting crazy.
Step Up, Drumline.
What?
Yeah, Malibu's Most Wanted.
Oh, okay.
Not even. There's another movie he made about like breakdancing that Jamie Kennedy made.
Okay.
I forgot what it was called, but somebody was like, "Yeah, that's my first hip hop movie." It's like, like, yeah, nobody about the classics.
Yeah.
What's the earliest memory of you wanting to be a musician?
Oh man, that goes back. I always felt kind of lucky in the sense that I've always known this is what I wanted to do.
Oh, wow.
Probably since about I was 6 years old. There was always a piano in my house. Nobody really was music. My grandfather kind of played by ear, and he played an organ, and I used to watch it, and I was kind of just always mesmerized by it. So, but I just gravitated towards it. Even before I learned how to play, I was having, my mom would just tell me the letters of the piano keys, and I would just sit there and try to figure it out myself. So yeah, I mean, probably around 6 years old. And the minute that I was getting any kind of results out of it, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. And nobody is ever going to tell me anything different. This is what I want to do. And I've always kind of felt lucky because sometimes, people don't know what they want to do in life. And I felt really like, this is what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting because, I always tell people that for whatever reason, people that I interact with, that I kind of stay in touch with in some kind of a way, and like, even though we haven't talked for years, you know what I'm saying? I'll say like the last time we talked was probably you were at the you were at the Novo, and I got a picture of you and Chuck together.
That's
and
right.
But people that I know that are artists, they're usually like at the top of their game, and I don't know if it was like a spoken thing or not, but like me and Brown would talk, and I remember we would say something like, man, Danny just wants to be, he just wants to rough it. He just wants to be hardcore. But like, dude, you easily could have took a gig at Nordstrom's or done some stuff where you made like real money, man. You was fooling around some hip hop. You know what I'm saying? You were definitely.
Remember what you guys used to say to me? Especially Walk. You guys used to put these scenarios out there like, okay, Kenny G calls you. He offers you a you remember the shit? He's gonna argue $4,500 a week. Do you take it for 6 months so you can get? I'd always be like, no, I'm not doing it. You're right.
Why not?
He's a purist, man.
Man.
Yeah, very talented, but pure to something. I don't know what, but pure to something.
Yeah. Well, no, I still carry all that vintage gear around, Greg. I carry more of it. I got the full Leslie and Orgone. I got the Rose. I bring it all. I still move it.
You know what? We ended up. It was crazy because we started off with Serge. He was the first guitar player, and like, man, just an incredible talent, dude. Like incredible. And then we got this guy named John. And I think Andy might have hooked us up with him or whatnot. But dude, John was kind of a wild boy, man. The thing about it, he's like a dog that didn't show teeth, but he could show some teeth when he got ready. And I remember we went to Canada, and we were crossing into Canada, and like in Canada, really at that time, Canada really wasn't into Americans too much coming across. If you had any little blemish, even if it was old, and he had something on his record that was like, it wasn't a big deal, and it was maybe about like maybe 6 years old. And I think maybe the night before he had piled on a few, so he wasn't in the best mood. And he started getting into it with this customs agent. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, man, chill out, like whatever. And instead of them just kind of like getting him through, we ended up having to pay like maybe $400 or something like that.
Oh.
But and then from him, we ended up with Jason, which we had Jason come out a little while. And Jason's a very incredible talent too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I still see him every once in a while. Yeah. That's right. And then you had a drummer you had couple drummers for a bit too, right?
Yeah. But I'll tell you who we ended up with that I never knew that he was good, but he was a different flavor, but I never knew that he was special until kind of like after the fact a little bit. But he was young though when he was dealing with us, was Mike Bedard.
I don't know. No, I'm not sure.
He's in San Diego. He's Jordan Sparks' musical director, and he's done
some. We had him on.
Yeah, we had him on. But he was dope. But we never had. He wasn't really like a hip hop type of a drummer. He was a good drummer, but it wasn't kind of like that. And I want to say when we had him play the first time, you know how we did it. If we needed somebody, so I don't even think he practiced. I think I might have just. I don't even think we were emailing MP3s at the time. It was maybe MP3s, but I know that just told him to listen to the albums. Just like listen to the albums, and we gonna hope for the best, and we'll see how it works out.
That's right. Yeah. What's up with Bert?
Bert is dope. Bert is cool. He's got his security situation going on and all that. So
nice.
You know, that's what that is. But tell me this, when you were in junior high school, so hip hop was when you were really young.
Yeah.
When you were in junior high school, what was the soundtrack to your experience? Like, what was the music going on at the time?
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, it's probably more high school, you know, and I because junior high, I still kind of was finding my way, you know, what I liked, you know, that junior high is a tough time. And that was like maybe, you know, 87, 88. So I didn't, you know, I didn't learn about what was coming out in that era till a little later, but pretty much, you know, in high school, it was strange enough. It was like the Beastie Boys and Pharcyde, like the what's the record? The Paul's Boutique came out. And when I heard that, especially with all those samples, you know, and I was like, this shit just kind of, I was like, this exists? I had no idea, you know, it just kind of blew my mind. And at the same time, that kind of led me into a lot of other stuff, you know, of course, Pharcyde being one of them, you know, Tribe, Wu-Tang, all that. That's kind of what was that was my background right there.
No rock phase.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, I come from like classic rock. I mean, you know, I love like all that, the Pink Floyd and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that was also my stuff. You know, I can find like, you know, I could find like middle ground for all of that music. You know, I got into a little bit of jazz, but mostly, yeah, you know, it was probably like classic rock and hip hop. And then, you know, from that really getting deeper into the soul and you know, soul and funk music that was like being sampled and where it came from and all that, you know.
You know what I fell in love with in my 40s, and I had always heard it, but I literally like late 40s like developed a love affair with it. Yacht rock.
Oh,
there's a whole job. It's called Yacht. I want to say Brown mentioned it, or one of his daughters might have mentioned it to him or something like that. But I never knew there was a name for that kind of. And I'm like, yacht rock. I'm like, okay. And I like, nah, that was all the cool.
No, I'm feel that, you know, that was like what was the station that used to play that? It was kind of like easy listening, right?
Yeah.
They call it AOR, adult oriented something, like our album, something like that. I think remember Coast 103.5. Yeah. I think they used to play a lot of that type of shit, you know. But yeah, no, me too. I grew, you know what I like about it when you really listen to it, it's like the production, you know, alone. It's recorded incredible.
Very talented, and you know the funny thing about it is I had two homeboys' fathers that listened to that type of music, and I didn't really, well, one of them I knew, the other one I didn't, but they both used to smoke some pretty bomb herb back in the day, man. Like in the days that they were listening, and we come around, and one of them, he would just blatantly smoke in front of us or whatever. He'd smoke with some of the guy. And then the other one, he was one of those spray air freshener in the garage, in the garage kind of dads and whatnot. But hey, man, they both was yacht rocking.
Yeah, Kenny Loggins, you know, you could even throw some Michael McDonald in there, you know.
Michael McDonald, okay.
Well, yeah, you know, that's the thing. Yacht rock is kind of broad. You can put a lot under that umbrella. But yeah, no, that's some good stuff in there. And then it gets even deeper. Like there's a bunch of rare shit in that era too, that, you know, wasn't as played as much if you really start digging, you know.
What was the name of your first band?
Well, let's see. What was the name of my first band? It's probably embarrassing. You know what? It was called The Freeze, and it was some of the same guys I play with right now. Same with Sergio. I was probably about 18, and we were kind of like doing James Brown like covers. That was our thing at the time. And you know, we got booked. It was like the first thing I ever did. We got booked in Finland, Helsinki, Finland, for a month. They booked us at this one spot. We played it 6 nights a week. They put us up in an apartment. We stayed there for a month and just were playing. Like they were used to classic rock, but we were like their first kind of soul band. And we had like a singer who could do James Brown stuff. And we would that's what we did. And of course we threw Funkadelic in there, you know, because that was like our first love. But yeah, that was one of the earliest things I remember doing, you know, that actually had some, and that affected me too, because I was like, that was my first time in Europe, first time traveling. It's like, oh man, this is what I got to do, you know, and I was like, yeah, that was the start of it, I'd say.
If you had to create an elective class for like junior high or high school, what would it be?
Well, that's interesting. That's a good question. You know, I feel like I would have benefited from like a music appreciation course that like touched like everything, you know, like got into like all styles and how they all, you know, somehow are connected in some way, you know. And yeah, that would have been amazing. I mean, I didn't really go to college, but I did take a music appreciation course there, and that teacher really blew my mind. It's not like I needed a teacher to tell me how to appreciate music, but I have to say he did the way he would like kind of weave through different, you know, styles of music, and the way he kind of told the stories through it. Yeah, it was absolutely eye-opening. And yeah, so I would love to see something like that. I mean, you know, when we were in school, it was just kind of one thing. It'd be nice to have this thing where they talk about everything, you know. That'd have been kind of cool.
So
yeah.
So when you were in high school, what did you think your path was going to be after you graduated?
You know, at first I was like, I'm going to go to music school. I had this whole plan. I was going to go to Berkeley, you know, in Boston. And they did a program where they come to LA and you go out to this college, Claremont College, and you do a week. You live in a dorm. And then I went there, and I loved the experience of going to the dorm, hanging out with all these other people I didn't know that I met, just other musicians. But the courses, like when I realized that, I'm like, nah, this ain't for me. I don't want to sound like this teacher. Like I have my own like view about music, and I felt like I was just going to go there and turn out like them. So I was at that very moment, I'm like, I'm not going to music college. I'm just going to keep my head down. I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to get better on my own. I'm going to keep playing with the guys I play with and see what happens, you know. And that's what happens. Some shit happens, you know. Basically, I feel like if you know, if your heart is in it, you know, doors will open. I mean, we were kind of talking about this earlier, Greg. I mean, that's just like, you know, I was friends with Andy. If I didn't know Andy, I wouldn't know you, right? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just things like that, I think.
You know, it was interesting that I never realized that you played it, because I don't think you ever played it when you were out with us. But my favorite instrument, the sound of my favorite instrument is the clavinet.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, the clavinet sounds like a trombone. It sounds like a trombone, a bass, and an organ together. I mean, that's just my own mental. You know,
clavinet.
We won't call it textbook. We'll say, in my mind, when I hear a clavinet, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
Kind of going
well,
on.
You know, kind of technically what it is, it's a keyboard version of a guitar, because it's basically got pickups like a guitar does, and then it's got hammers and they're hitting strings like guitar strings, and then amplifying them. So it's like, you know, you've obviously heard like Superstition, Stevie Wonder. That's clavinet sound.
And Higher Ground. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that
exactly.
sound. Ooh.
Exactly. And then like, you know, you start putting pedals on it, like a wah pedal, like as if you're a guitar player, and that's when it gets interesting. Now, I spent a lot of time with that instrument getting good at it. Like that's probably like what I do, you know, better than, you know, that's what I like spent time learning how to play, because it's a lot of feel. Like it's a lot of just random rhythmic stuff, you know. You're almost playing it like percussively, you know. It's almost like a drum. And so that's how I always approach it. It's almost like playing a drum. And yeah, it is. I'm with you. It's probably my favorite instrument too, Greg. Yeah, by far.
How'd you describe it again?
What's that?
How did you describe it again?
Oh man, he just made me feel like a dummy, man.
No, I just want to hear it, because
my ears have been here. Danny broke it down. I feel like we in the back of a Sprinter van for 6 weeks driving around Europe. He broke me down. My ears have been hearing the clavinet the wrong way, man.
No, man.
My ears have been hearing the wrong way.
I just want to I just want to hear what you said. You said like a he's a drum.
No, it's literally like he said. What he said? Yeah, he
bass.
said he said a bass, a trombone, and what'd you say?
Yeah, I said like a bass, a trombone, and an organ, like but all at the same time.
Right.
But,
no, that's I'm down. I'm down.
Yeah.
Nah, man.
I ain't denying you, man. I just want
y'all good.
I just wanted to type these things in.
Yeah.
Nah, dope. So tell me this. You spending a lot of time in the studio, you know, constantly trying to write. You told me you got some new stuff we're gonna get into that you're working on that's kind of exciting and whatnot. Yeah. What do you think about this whole AI thing?
Well, which part of it? Like how it's affecting music, how it's affecting
how it will affect music.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know what? I don't know, Greg. There's definitely parts of it that scare me. You know, and I know there's like there's a whole like group of younger generation kids that are just like listening to this AI made music and they're loving it. And that's crazy to me. I will say I've messed with like, you know, Mid-Journey and done some of the art, like, you know, and it's fun. I'm not gonna lie, you know, but I'm not a graphic designer. So like I'm like just typing in words and see what I get. Now I'm a musician. Now if somebody was just able to say like, oh, you know, okay, I want a song and I want it to sound like a classic rock song from the 70s, and can the vocals be like David Bowie? And they just type that in and the shit comes out. I mean, I don't know. Is that going to be good enough for people?
Nah,
I kind of feel like, yeah, I hope not.
It's gonna be good enough, man. Let me tell you something, man. When I really started to, because you know, Brown is always up on technology. Like it could be around me or it could be in my presence, but I'm not really tripping. And I think he mentioned it to me, and it was like twice in the same day. And he's like, nah, man, dude, they're doing like people are sounding like, and when he said that, then I looked into it, and I didn't even share it with him, but the feeling that I got behind that was kind of similar to the feeling that I got when I was in France at Midham, and I was delivering a record to a distributor, and I met a dude from Canada, and he's like, man, CDs are going to be obsolete, man. This, you know, this blah, blah, blah. And he was like dead serious. He's like, dude, people really aren't talking about it. This was like the early 2000s. Yeah. He's like, people really aren't talking about it, but dude, he's like, the CD is going to be a wrap. And I'm out there to give somebody a CD. And I remember my heart dropped, and we're at dinner and my heart dropped. And I'm just like, damn, the CD, like what's going to happen or what's it going to be? But what he thought was going to happen was that the CD was going to be obsolete. He wasn't forth-thinking enough to know that the MP3 was going to take it out. What he thought was that there was this CD DVD technology that they had at the time, and basically it could just hold a lot more stuff. And so he thought that was, but because he was basically telling me that was going to take out the CD, and like CDs weren't going to be obsolete, and it was going to turn to something else, but he didn't know it was going to be the MP3. Like he didn't know what it was going to be. Mm-hmm. But when I heard that, I was just kind of like, man, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
You know, and go ahead.
No, you can finish your thought.
No, I was going to say, and with this AI stuff, you know, I always take stuff light, man. I mean, for whatever reason, when it first hits, like I'm present that it's going on, but it really takes like a little bit to sink in. And when it like all last week, I thought about that. And I was like, dude, if people are sounding like J. Cole, they're sounding like Kendrick, they're sounding like comedians.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah,
it's just going to be very interesting what and how people are going to be able to pull this off.
We're going to have to adapt. It's no other way. You know what I mean? You're going to have to do those Michael Jackson cameos if you want to get a top 10 record. You're going to have to be like, I'm going to tell this joke, but in Richard Pryor's voice. Hold on. Like, put the thing up. Because, you know, people can't get over the past. They only want what they want. They don't even believe in new artists anyway. So, they just do the collaboration. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're going to have to adapt. They're making songs and, you know, this writer's strike, you know, we're currently in a writer's strike. You know, I'm feeling the effects of it, believe it or not. You know, you look at from the Postmate bots, automated driving, self-checkouts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody's gonna be forced to doing entertainment. And then now they took that from us. They gonna have they can write a better script with more advertisement, way faster, jokes per minute.
Nah, yeah,
and a soundtrack to boot.
It's scary. It's scary. Yeah, it's gonna be like just people who have ideas, not necessarily talent, you know, and that's interesting. But let me ask you guys this: do you think that do you think like in the future that folks won't want to come out and see live music and see people do it live? Do you think that'll go away too because they don't care? Right. So there still has to be musicians. There still has to that's what I was hoping, think.
I don't know, man. The first live artist to take over during the pandemic was DJ Nice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he don't do live. Even though I respect the art of DJing, but
I'm talking D Nice.
D Nice, yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Would you rather see this big concert and pay all these artists to come out that they gotta fly from all over, or just have their holograms perform?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. And the thing is that I mean, as a musician who's been doing this for many, many years and different situations, like yeah, of course I like to make a living out of it, but there's also the thing that's attractive and the thing that keeps me going is that feeling, being on a stage, creating this thing, this energy, putting it out to an audience, them taking it, going, wow, this is amazing. We're all here together. And then they give it right back to you. I mean, there's nothing like it. It's so special. And I hope that never goes away. But, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's why I want to do this. This is partly why, it's a big reason why I do this. And man, I mean, whether it's a DJ, whether it's, a full band, whatever it is, like, I mean, I love DJs too. It's like I DJ myself. It's like just that connection between people, man. I really hope we don't lose that. But
it's on the rise right now, just because I think people, COVID made people like, we're not going into the ice age just yet,
right?
But I think
I noticed it. Yeah, no, I noticed it this month. I feel like I was just doing some shows, and I was like, "There's more people out."
Yeah, way more.
There's more people out right now. Like I was like, I think this is the first winter people haven't had COVID up in their face, and I think they're just like, we gotta go. And it's kind of wild out there right now,
Yeah, definitely is.
I had.
Hey,
go ahead.
Oh no, man, I went to a jam that probably had about 1,000 people in a very closed-in area with a small patio, and my purpose was to go there and drop something off. I wasn't like. When I went, my mind didn't say, oh, you're going to partake, have a drink, holler at some friends, blah, blah, blah. I was like, nope, I got somebody that's in town from out of town. I wanted to hook him and the promoter up with a project that I was working on. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to bounce. But when I went in, it was cracking. I was like, okay, let me go have a drink. So I walked to the back of the spot, had a drink. And then the DJ that was playing, the two, was it? No, it was one. No, it was two DJs, two real dope DJs. And so they're spinning, and I'm like, damn. And I think they're spinning some Michael Jackson, some real cool stuff. Long story short, I get home on Sunday. I'm like, cool. On Monday, my nose won't stop running. Tuesday, my nose won't stop running. I got a little something in my throat.
Yeah.
And I took a COVID test right before the podcast jumped off. That shit was positive 5 minutes. I was like, oh. Now I was like, oh man. I went out. I'm like, man, I still moved a little bit, but like open spots or just like a little where people just weren't on top of each other. Yeah. But I was like, oh man, where I was at, man, it was no ventilation.
It was weird. Yeah. It was weird. It's a weird couple of years.
Great times, man. Great times. I'm gonna run this past you guys. So we have a chat then where people chime in, like give comments. When we hit this topic, we had Jason Miles. He just went off, so I'm gonna run past some ideas of his. Jason Miles of This Is Revolution. He said there is no development for new artists. He said he agreed with us. There's no development for new artists who can afford to go to a show or a festival. I think live music is becoming a class project. Who can afford instruments? What school has a music program? Much like journalism.
Yeah.
He said, I played in a metal punk band for years. Now I run a podcast and it's way more beneficial. But of course I miss playing live, but how can you afford to tour? Who can afford to go out to the show? The Fire Festival was a blueprint.
Oh man, we got a comedian. We got another.
How do you see the cruise deals? Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Outside, oh, this is funny, bro. This is so true. Though. Outside of church, I don't see many young people picking up an instrument. Yo.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah. Where do you develop art? Where do artists develop? How do they develop? Again, yeah, pretty much, yeah. I get what you're saying. Thoughts?
Yeah. God, I feel so removed from that, you know.
He's like, I'm successful. I don't know about that.
I don't know about successful, but you know, I guess but I do understand. Like, if I was just starting right now, I would be overwhelming. I don't even understand. I mean, it's hard enough to get something to break through all the noise that exists. I mean, I'm on Spotify and I listen. I find so much new music so often. It's like there's so much to pick through. I don't even understand how anybody gets noticed. I mean, I have to imagine there's good music that's not even getting noticed because it just didn't take the right path, you know? And so I understand what he's saying, you know, I mean, like, luckily, like, you know, for us, it's like, you know, we've been around for over 20 years, you know, it's like we got a foot in the door a long time ago. We were touring for, you know, 15 years. It's like, so it's like, yeah, I don't understand how you start now. It seems difficult. I guess if I was starting now, I wouldn't even consider touring. I guess I would just make music in a studio and try to see if I can make something happen from that angle first, and then create the audience and then create the tour from that. You know, that's the only way I would see how to do it now. Because it's, yeah, I mean, expenses, it's not easy. It's difficult to gas prices, hotel prices. I mean, you know, this whole thing, it's not like it was. I agree. It's difficult, but man, I hope what he's saying, you know, isn't true.
Man, that sounds like some doomsday conversation, man.
I know,
like,
man.
He over here talking about the bomb getting dropped or something, man.
I mean, that's how technology works, man. It's like, what can we do? I mean, you know, you can fight to a degree, but then also, you know, you have to adapt. You know what I mean? That's just a part of it. I have this fight with myself all the time, you know, and, you know, I'm pretty sure, just like you said, the CDs and, you know, whatever the new thing, there's going to be something else.
Well, look, how about this? This is kind of interesting, right? Like, yeah, CDs went obsolete, but look what happened with vinyl.
Vinyl, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, you guys, how much vinyl do you sell when you guys, you know, I mean, well, you haven't done Pharcyde tours in a long time, but that's the biggest thing. We sell tons of vinyl.
Yeah, hey man, come on. We saw Andy, you know, I'm sure COVID and all that had a couple twists and turns or whatever, but dude, he went to, you know, like, man, he really became from when we knew him to him dibbling and dabbling in records to really being a cat that, you know, freaking your favorite producer will call up and go to a warehouse, or, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
when I knew, well, it's a trip because it's just like you. Like, I'll say Andy to the record trade is what you are to playing, you know, being a musician. You know what I'm saying? Both you guys are very talented at what you do. But I want to say, I know cats like The Alchemist, you know, Pete Rock, like these dudes come and Andy takes them and shows them special digs and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, damn, you know, he's really doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, he's been a record hustler since I've known him. Well, I think what really blew him up was that the Japanese connections. You know, that's what he used to do. He used to hustle records. So Japan, you know, he had those, like, that's how he started moving records. I'm sure I haven't talked to Andy in a while. I mean, every once in a while I give him, you know, we say what's up. I miss that dude. He's a good dude. Yeah. Speaking
of which, do any of your original friend group elevate with you?
Yeah. Well, so Sergio, my partner basically, and to this day, we started playing together when we were 15. And we still play together, and we still tour together, and we still been growing up, making more music, learning about music together. Yeah, I mean, there's been obviously some people that come and go through the group, but I've got 30 years with this guy, and I know that's rare.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's partly what makes my band, I think, different, is that we're not just some thrown together group. We've been playing together for a really long time. So there's a rapport that exists that I feel is different and special. And that's why, people will hire us to record, as a group, because we're from a lineage, I would say. Our heroes were the bands, the rhythm sections of all these great groups, like the Meters, Booker T and the MGs, all the guys that played on every Motown record, all the crew that played with Parliament Funkadelic. These are these were these bands that kind of knew each other, played together, did things together, and there was this kind of synergy, and that was kind of always important to us, and so it goes back a long way.
Yeah, I think one thing, we definitely need to bring music programs back into the schools.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I wish somebody, I don't got a lot of money, definitely don't have a lot of money, but I wish somebody who did have a lot of, I'll say, you don't even have to have money, just influence. Flea and Norwood do some cool stuff with Watts, in the city of Watts, you know what I'm saying? Where there's a music program over there where they get Guitar Center and some of the larger sponsors to come in and kind of, lace the kids up with, the stuff that they need. But for me, I wasn't that good at it, but I played the trumpet, you know what I'm saying? But we had band in elementary school when I was coming up. We had band in junior high school. We had band in high school, you know what I'm saying? And that experience for me, of course, it was a bunch of kids like me that could just, we were mediocre at best or whatever, but you did get a chance to see cats that were just highly gifted. And it was just kind of their thing.
Yeah. What blew my mind always when I would see the drum line. That's what it was like. Remember seeing the drum line for the first time. I'm like, and some of these guys were really, really good. And I was like, oh, I want to know what that's like. I never got to be in the drum line, but I always thought that was good. I was like, that was the thing that kind of was like, oh, I'll do that. But yeah, even when I was still in high school, I was watching the music program kind of go downhill. There was just not a lot of funding for it. Not a lot. It was kind of looked down upon, and that just happened. Probably about 4 years before I was there, it was one of the top music programs. That was another thing. You guys know Hamilton High School? You ever hear of Hamilton? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I was too chicken to go. I was gonna go there. And I didn't want to take a bus ride to Culver City, every morning, and I just chickened out. But I always wonder what I would have done and who I would be today if I had gone to Hamilton. Because
you'd have gotten some scrapes and scraps, man. You'd have had some hard bus rides, man, to and from.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh yeah, no, that's funny because I did meet friends later on who did go there. And yeah, it looked like a really good place to go and have music. It still exists today, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
That's probably where you got to go. You got to go to these art schools,
So when I hit you up today and I asked if you could repost the show, you're like, nah, I really don't do much from my own Instagram. I did it from the the labels or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm not super on social media like that either. You know what I'm saying? I do it for for obvious reasons, but so for you, and you're on a label, Orgone's all over the place. I see you guys, I see you guys making moves and the circles and, that you guys move around in and whatnot. So for you not being a technical guy and all that kind of stuff, how does social media help your brand? And does the labels social media person or do they just kind of facilitate that aesthetic to what you guys do?
Yeah, I mean, look, we could be doing a better job, but yeah, me personally, I just can't. I can't do it. I wish I could for business reasons, but I got so turned off by Facebook when it first started. I just kind of saw all the kind of addictive things about it, and I couldn't get on board. Instagram came out. I got an account, but I never went on it once. But absolutely is necessary if you're a band. You have to do it. And so, we've always had somebody, management, kind of working it. We could be doing better. We have a couple of labels. Orgone has a label called 3 Palm Records, and we do pretty well, like in Spotify. We put some music out and it gets some traction. And I started another label with another music partner, my partner Simon Wolfie James, and I told the guys to put the post on both of those sites, because that's where I'm going to have the most eyeballs anyways. So yeah, that, I mean, obviously it helps. And I mean, I don't know what else you do. Like, that's how you get things out there. That's how people find out about anything at this point. Right. I mean, it's kind of important. I know it's there. I'm fighting it, but it's a necessary evil, right? It's a necessary thing. It's just like, well, we have to adapt. So,
my guilty pleasure with social media is YouTube, man.
Yeah.
And I know that's more informational than anything, but you can also get some information that does you absolutely no good. Absolutely no good at all. Absolutely no good at all.
Oh,
but I kind of Brown was one of the first people that I really saw. If you want to figure something out, like he'll go to YouTube and he'll just like study it like a whole different kind of way of interacting. And it's crazy because as soon as recent as yesterday, there was something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I had been paying people to kind of help me out with it. And I got home and I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna give up a hot 10 minutes of my evening. And I freaking figured something out that, like, man, definitely it either will make me some really cool, or it's gonna definitely save me a really cool amount of bread. And I'm like, damn, all it takes is just a little bit of discipline, and just it's good that it can give you all that other part, but balance it with a couple of vegetables. No,
and you're right. And I do the same thing. I mean, it is amazing. Like, things that like you just, maybe we're too scared to try or something. It's like you go on YouTube, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I could do this. I could probably pull this off. And you're right, man. It's that part of it's amazing, I will say. There's so many pros and cons to all the technology. I mean, if you just look at anything in our history, every time there was some like new technology, the pendulum always swings way over here, and things get a little crazy, and everybody has to normalize and kind of come back here, and I wonder how that works with AI. We don't know yet, but we'll find out. It's just so
so the way that people that have known people from a long time, they can have conversations and say like, yo, man, I claim this, I remember this, and la 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 la. The one thing that I can say I remember about Orgone, I remember when you guys were first getting it off, and you guys were like, we're gonna do this Orgone, and then you guys were talking. That's when it went above my head, when it got to the meaning of Orgone, and sound and all that kind of stuff. Like, the name sounded cool, every single thing or whatever. But when you got into the meaning part, that's when it just kind of just like really went over my head. About 20 years later, explain to me Orgone, or explain to us.
Okay, well, look. It really wasn't something we took all that seriously, like the actual meeting. It was kind of like a half a joke, half a thing. It was just some crazy shit that we happened to come across. But the reason why we ended up choosing the name is because there was a guy called Wilhelm Reich. He's the guy that coined the term. And it literally is hormone and orgasm. That's what exactly.
That's funny.
This is some wild shit. I mean, and basically he thought that that Orgone, the energy itself was like a life force energy, right? So we just like, oh, this is interesting. And then we played some show in Fresno. This is many years ago, before we even, just toying with the idea of naming the band that. And we were staying at some weird hotel. And the next morning, our bass player went out for a smoke, and just sitting randomly on the table was a book, and it just said Orgone. And it was just, nobody claimed it. It was just sitting there. So at the end of the day, the name chose us, and we're like, people aren't going to say it right. They're going to be like, what is this shit? We just said we have to go with it. It just kind of chose us. And that was like really the end of it. That's why it happened. So,
okay. Yeah. I remember. And then, man, I was a wild boy back then. So my, where I was.
Oh yeah.
At the time, who knows? But yeah, I remember it being much more sophisticated, but still,
I'm keeping some things out. I can tell you some other crazy shit.
Okay, so that's part that went over. Okay, so that okay, all right, man. I feel a little better now.
For sure. Yeah.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Man, let's see. What's the best advice someone ever has given me? I have to think about that. I feel like, because I feel like I've always just kind of followed my own heart on most things. And I know somebody's given me good advice. But, it feels like when things happen, it's always because like something propels you in the right direction, right? You don't even know why sometimes you do something. You just feel like you got to go towards it, and you go towards it, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable. And that's when I usually notice something shifting, like something like I just went up a level, I just got to a different place. I can't think of anything specific. I'd have to go back, but I guess that's how I've always kind of just tried to follow some kind of, path and not really overthink it too hard,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
I was gonna say, what's the worst advice?
What's the worst advice?
You probably got plenty of those.
Oh God, yeah, I know. What's the worst advice? Yeah. Shit, I don't know. I don't got anything queued up for that, man. I'd have to think about it. Sorry.
You know what? I just remembered something. I remember a debate. It wasn't a debate. It was a conversation that I had with Danny. It had to be 20 years or better. And Danny, his ears are trained so well, and he's such a purist. I remember us talking about MP3s versus how things really sound. And at the time, you were just kind of like, some stuff really doesn't sound as good as an MP3 doesn't sound as good as the original. But once again, like AI and technology, now you got MP3s, man, that have low end, high end. They,
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not such a purist about it anymore. I mean, like if I'm DJing, I try to pretty much stick to waves if I can, or vinyl. I still got all my vinyl, But yeah, there's, I ain't against it. I'll listen to it. I stream. I'm not mad at it. It's an amazing thing to be able to just research so much music. So it's so broad. I love the fact that it's just available. It made it weird, right? It made it like, because how it was back in the day with people would covet things, right? You'd find something and you just kind of hold on to it. You just get because you knew you were going to be the one to play it and show people. That doesn't exist anymore. Everybody can get anything. You want to buy that rare record? Well, you can go on Discogs and find it. You have the money, you can buy it. It's hard to be like something like, like to be that special, I could find this thing and nobody else has it. I mean, now it's more just about, I think it's about your character and like how you put all these things together and how you present it and how, create a vibe in a room. That's what you got now. I think it's a little different.
Oh, actually, it's on you. Oh, actually, no, let's see what it is. Yeah. What's your thoughts on cancel culture?
I think that's one of those things, like I was saying earlier with the pendulum, it's like all the way over here and we're starting to come back. I mean, I don't know. I don't really think I mean, certain people obviously deserve to be canceled. There's no doubt. But you know, like a lot of it's bullshit to me.
Canceled. Okay.
I
Gotcha.
mean,
This was a test.
No, especially with comedians, like that's, you know, which I follow like a lot, you know, like I don't believe in that. And I feel like, you know, you should be able to say what you want to say. There might be a consequence and you should deal with that. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's what I say. Is I always say they say freedom of speech, but they never say freedom of consequence. I don't think people realize, like, you know, there's a retaliation for things you say.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's okay. You know, maybe that needs to happen too. But you know, you should, you know, some people can pull it off and some people can't, you know. So
yeah, I think it's funny because you know, I play with that gray area in stand-up comedy, but some people, you know, I know people who can't do it, you know what I mean?
Really? Yeah.
You know, and I think we all have different skill sets, you know what I mean? A certain language, like, you know, because when people can feel where you're coming from, your tone, you know what I mean? Like faux anger, fake anger is funny on stage and, you know, in acting. Real anger, not so much.
No.
You know what I mean?
A little scary.
Like, yeah.
Well, yeah, because it activates your fight or flight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I mean, because, you know, if it's really there, you sense danger, you're like, all right,
that's right.
You know, like you're not, nobody's thinking straight at that point, you know. So it is a very touchy thing, you know.
Yeah, you know, to be honest, and it's not like I'm not on Twitter, you know, I'm not on these like kind of like platforms that are just where I'm seeing all this like, you know, garbage all the time. So I'm not in the thick of it, you know. I mean, I'm down for anybody to be who they want to be. That's fine. Like, I respect that, you know. So, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, within
reason.
Yeah, within reason, within like not like without like harming, you know, people, you know. Yeah. So, but you know.
Jason Miles said, there's no such thing as cancel culture. It's just I want to talk to the manager culture.
Okay.
Thank you, Jason.
Nah, it's cancel culture because fools, depending on who you are, like, man, I'll tell you somebody who, okay, I'll tell you one person who, if they weren't sick and old, they would be canceled for sure.
Yeah.
Who?
Andrew Dice Clay.
I don't think, well, the thing is, you talking about back in the day, because I don't think anybody knows he exists.
But well, I'm saying if he wasn't sick and old, you know what I'm saying?
He ain't made not news not one time for anything controversial. Nobody care about him. That's why.
I mean, he used to do pretty big shows though.
In 1991.
Yeah. Well,
people don't know this guy exists. He doesn't know. I know he exists because I'm a historian, but you know, like he'd have to do something first
to be relevant.
Yeah, and then he had to make some money in this culture. You know what I'm saying?
What's the last thing he did? What's the last? I think it was the Entourage or something, right? Like that's the last time he made like.
Yeah, playing guy number 3. You know what I mean? Like, what can you do about that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you only cancel things that are moving. You can cancel nothing that stopped. I mean, and respect to Andrew Dice Clay, you know, I know he's working. You know what I'm saying? I ran into him at the Phoenix, was it House of Comedy? You know what I'm saying? But you know, he's just doing gigs. You know what I mean? He's a gig worker. I'm a gig worker.
Yeah, nah.
Cancel me.
I'll tell you the rapper that got
you got to give me 100,000 followers first to cancel me. You know what I'm saying? You got to get me up there first.
I'll tell you the rapper that got canceled in front of all our eyes, man, and it happened fast.
Yeah, I know.
Baby, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, like you couldn't even it happened so fast.
It happened fast.
Wow.
I mean, it happened fast, dude. It was like, it was amazing to me, dude. It was amazing. And it's kind of like, you know, if you listen to his music, his subject matter, not saying it was just super way out or wild or just whatever, but his subject matter was, you know, shoot, man, intelligence was not what he rapped about, or you know, part of his subject matter.
Don't make me defend the baby. He was not that bad. He definitely had a
no.
You know,
I'm not saying that he's
not the lowest bar. Like he's, you know,
no.
He's not what's his name? I'm trying to be nice. He's not Chief Keef.
No,
Close, though.
I'm not saying he was whack. I'm saying, dude, he
not
was
even whack. I'm saying that he had some, you know, I like it. He's not you know, conscious. But he wasn't Waka Flocka, he wasn't Chief Keef. Like, he actually had some substance. He wasn't just making noise like, you know, those guys. Like, when you say that, it sounds like you're talking about those guys.
No,
I gotta give my man a little more credit. And he was rapping, but he wasn't necessarily a mumble rapper either, you know. So,
but his content was a little wild.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. His content was wild.
No, why did he get canceled? I don't think I actually know the story.
He said something about them people.
He during a
okay.
To be fair, I think that so I actually think that comments should be assessed. You know what I mean? Yeah. But especially his, because, you know, we do say a lot of throwaway things that could be fought back against. And even if we decide it wasn't that bad, it's cool to have a conversation, to me at least. Sure. But during a concert, he was you know, doing a show between one of his songs, unprovoked. Neither song, the song he came from or the song he's going to, had anything to do with this. He just said, what he said, he said, give it up for the real ones. He said the real ones ain't S&D in the parking lot. He said, you know, all the real ones, ain't having sexually transmitted diseases like AIDS and all that stuff. He said, yeah. So, you know, okay. And the thing is it sucks because the way culture works, people, we have this unspoken about language that if one thing leads to another and you make my mind connect those dots, it's your fault. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because so he's talking about the stereotype that, you know, being gay leads to, you know, you having AIDS, you know, sure. that association. We don't know. There's no factual evidence to prove that that's 100% true. No. Having gay sex leads to AIDS. Yeah. But it's also very funny. No. So he said that, and, you know, they canceled. They did cancel. That was a successful cancel. Fast. Not a lot of them.
Fast. And I'm gonna tell you how he could have prevented it. He should have just broke bread. But the thing is, when you do stuff, no.
You said more than that, huh? You said
not enough. Yeah, for sure. Because the thing about it is, he probably broke bread, but it was just a little bit. And the thing about it is, there's people in these certain groups that's just kicking it. The same way you got the Al Sharptons and the Jesse Jacksons and all that kind of stuff, and the Benjamin Crumps. Now, you got people that's chilling in the cut that wait for stuff like that to happen. And when it happens, either you pay the bread and you may get bled for the rest of your career, your life, or whatever, or you could be like, you know what? I gave them that little $5,000. They better take that punk $5,000 and be happy with that or whatever. And man,
we don't know cancellation is success. The thing that proved that his cancellation was successful, because if you do something right that offends people, right? And to me, I agree with what you're saying, but I feel like it's that person that's quiet who has influence, you know what I mean? Like who owns a company. Like, I like the fact that Phil Knight of Nike, Kanye got him to talk. I'm like, oh, you talking? Because these are people who never have to make a statement. No. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But when you do offend that person, I think the proof that DaBaby got canceled wasn't the fact that he said something and went away. It was the fact that he released a new album after he apologized. And like you said, probably broke bread. And that did nothing. It did nothing. And that's just unheard of with his amount of momentum. It's like proving that this thing exists, because it's still a myth on whether it even exists or not.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, you know, look at like Louis C.K. and look at Chappelle. They're not having a problem selling tickets.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know.
I mean, I know that I don't know if it's different for comedians. But, you know, yeah, I mean,
I think in this cancel culture thing, you know, it's really about who you're offending, like directly, who are you offending? Yeah. And if those people have the power to eliminate you,
Them people have the power, man.
Because you know,
Yeah.
if who you're offending isn't power, like, you know, that's what's interesting about this Kanye West thing, which I guess we should bring up. What's your thoughts on the you know, was it Yeezy or sorry, Ye and well, Yeezy the company. So I said it right. Yeah, Yeezy and Adidas made up. And I think they're doing a one last $500 million deal to get rid of their remaining pair of shoes because Adidas was going to go and lose a $1.3 billion
Oh shit. Yeah.
over hurt feelings, over words. That's like a reverse cancel.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna make you work with me even though you don't like it. That's he had a reverse cancel. Like, I'm gonna say something you don't like and you're gonna have to work with me. That's like the opposite of cancel. That's
Yeah, I mean, you know, of course, that as a Jew, that it's alarming. It's very alarming. But I also realize, like, you know, I mean, he's got some mental illnesses. You know, I don't like necessarily I'm not going to completely just judge him. I'm not going to stop like thinking he's an amazing producer. You know,
right.
I mean, it's difficult, right, to separate the art from the person, right? Like that's such an interesting. I don't know. That's an interesting.
I can separate the art from the person. The question is, can you separate the shoes? Let's see your feet. Your feet, Dan.
I got no shoes on, man. I'm in my room.
Hey, I could bet. I would bet a year of house notes and a year of car notes, very confidently, that Dan Hastie has not paid any of his money for some Yeezys. Now, if somebody gifted him with some Yeezys, I could probably believe that. But Dan Hastie spending some of his money on some Yeezys, no. I could safely bet a year of house note and car notes that did not take place.
That's not happening.
Because you're not anti-Semitic.
I'm kidding. I don't even think it's not even my favorite looking shoe. Let's just
the shoes are ugly.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay that much for a shoe. You know, I mean, I like vintage, stylish looking shit, man. So
Danny,
yeah,
you've been in some pretty dope rooms. I'm positive you've been out with us and around, you know, the stuff that we had going on at the time.
Sure.
And you've seen some real festivals, some real stuff. Were you with us that time we did that festival in Germany with the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Public Enemy?
Yeah.
And yeah, freaking
yeah,
man, Flavor Flav climbed up on the speakers and got stuck, man. Security had to help him down. That was a very real.
I remember. I think the biggest thing I ever, still to this day, that I've done might have been with when we played the Reading Festival. That was early on. Yeah, that was a massive crowd. I remember the feeling of that. I was like, oh, it's kind of impersonal, right? Because you're so far away from the crowd, you almost don't even like, you know, feel. I like that people up in your face in a club vibe, you know. I would probably take that. Not to say that I don't want to do it, you know. I'm playing Glastonbury this year, and that's I'm excited about that. You know, that'll probably be a fun one. So, have you guys done that?
Not Glastonbury, not with them. No, not with them. You know what? I can't remember. I know I was there with Brown and Gorillas a year, but I can't remember Farcyde. If we did, it was a smaller stage. It was a smaller stage or whatnot.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
One out of the frying pan into the fire. Are you caught up on Elon Musk's comments on? Well, really, it's the creator of Dilbert. Are you familiar with him?
What, the comic strip?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I know it like in passing. I don't really know. I never like got into it. No.
So the guy who created Dilbert, who's never been in the news for anything. It kind of sucks. His name is Scott Adams. He pretty much was doing an interview, and during this interview, he brought up the fact that, like, unprompted, by the way, he brought up the fact that there's a poll that stated like over 50% of I'm gonna use the term they used, African Americans are not fond of white people. And he said, look, white people, like, we have to get away from black people. He said, there's no helping black people. This only brings us down. He said, every time he tried to help a black person, his reward was being called racist. He said, I suggest all white people get as far away from black people as possible.
This is this Scott dude?
Yeah, he said this. Yeah, this is still going down as we speak, actually, because it is a hot topic right now. Wait, I want to just give you the full, but yeah, basically, Elon Musk, basically, since he got canceled, right? This guy, Scott Adams, getting canceled.
Scott Adams.
Yeah, we call him Dilbert. That's fine. I mean, you know, he doesn't have an identity.
Yeah,
canceling Dilbert. But Elon, so he went on a Twitter tirade, you know, and he pretty much was saying like, "Hey, you guys can be mad, but you cannot say what I'm saying is not true," you know. And you know, something about that started bringing up these awkward supporters. One being Elon Musk, who's saying like, well, he has a point.
Oh,
but then he's been playing both sides of the fence where he's like, well, he is racist, but you know, I get where he's coming from, type of thing, you know, kind of playing both sides of the fence. Before I say my thoughts, I'd love to hear your thoughts there.
I mean, that's insane. Look, if everybody does good, then we all do good. That's just it. I mean, what's I'm trying to think of her name. You know, she wrote a book about, like, I think it was in the 50s when they started filling like community swimming pools because they did, you know, because all of a sudden black folks could go to a community swimming pool. So they just started filling them. So they just, white people would at that time would rather not let black folks come and swim. So they'll just fill the pool. And it's like, that shit is crazy. And that's how deep it goes in this, you know, in this country. And her whole thing is like, no, if everybody is doing well, no matter where, we're all going to do better. Everybody's going to do better. I mean, like the thing we're doing right now is not sustainable. You can't just have a small group of people making all this money and just leaving everybody behind. And I just don't see how we make it out of this without being completely inclusive. I didn't grow up like that. I grew up playing music around everybody, and that's just how it always felt normal to me to be around all different types of people. I don't even, this stuff doesn't even make sense to me. I don't even understand it. So, I don't know. That's disheartening.
I know you're disappointed that your favorite comic strip got canceled and they won't be. You still pick up a newspaper, correct?
I mean, fuck that guy, whatever. Really, at the end of the day,
fuck Dilbert. I like Marmaduke better anyway.
Way better.
Garfield and Friends.
But yeah, I mean, it's surprising. No, it's not surprising. It's like,
could you expound upon that? What do you mean by not surprising?
I mean, I know that it exists. I know people out there like that exist. And it sucks that somebody with a platform like Elon Musk is going to even bring any more attention to it. It just sucks, It's
privilege, man.
Yeah.
When you privilege, you don't, and that's the funny thing about privilege. Yeah. It's like the guy, the Scott Adams guy, he probably feels like, man, I got 2 black friends, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
How are you gonna say that I sound racist, man? I got 2 black homeboys, man. I have beer with them. I drink with them. They come to my house.
White people, get as far away from black people as possible.
You know what I'm saying?
What I say?
And then he's talking to his black homeboys, and he's like, "Nah, I don't mean you guys, man.
Right.
I'm talking about those,
No, isn't that the classic shit? Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
My first thing that pops in my head is cite your source, man. what is this poll? I hate people to go survey says statistics show, yo, I've been walking around on this earth 35 years, man. Ain't nobody approached me at a grocery store and asked me none of these weird ass opinions that these politicians that be running on. I'm like, who are you polling? Nobody, nobody in my friend circle, my family, nobody, 0 people. Only thing I get approached and asked, am I registered to vote? That's the only thing. I've never got asked these weird questions and it's 50%. Like, dang, so 50% is all? Since when has that been all? That's crazy. What about the 50% is not? You know what I mean? Regardless. And yeah, we do say these things amongst each other, but amongst each other, that's the funny part. You know what I'm saying? Then we go back to work and we clock in and we work together.
Right.
That's how it works. We work together. We don't, you don't, and to say you're not racist when you nobody prompted you to say, they didn't say, hey, creator of Dilbert, what is your thoughts on race and how we can fix it?
Right.
Dilbert of privilege, Scott Adams of privilege. You've written a comic strip and been paid a lot of money, and
no, it's not even that good. He's boring, man.
Oh, it's garbage. Come on.
But what I do appreciate from this guy, he is the sacrifice that helped us out, Elon Musk, because I think he's been like, he dips in and out of culture in general, you know what I'm saying? Because, he has this identity of like, I'm fighting for, poor people or,
the human race.
Yeah. But then, he's an elitist. You're with one of the richest people. You're not, you're not one of us.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah. Just, okay. You got Yeezys on and a tie and you think you're us.
That's not how it works.
You know what I'm saying? Like
that's not how it works.
You're Donald Trump, dog. And I know you don't want to be.
No, it's not that different.
But you're up there and your slight opinions, you know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying, cancel all billionaires or whatever the heck, but it's like, when people say, oh, how can you have a problem with Donald Trump when, they was shouting him out in rap songs? It's like the hints were always there. Yeah. Here you go. You have opportunity. Here Elon, when he runs for president, remember he sided with the Dilbert guy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel that. That's nuts, man. Yeah. Also, just that whole environment of I guess Twitter, all these things, man. You're just seeing like just kind of an inflated version of the worst shit, a lot of times. Like, I don't know if that's how it really is.
I definitely agree with you on that. But the craziest thing is that he said it and you can watch the video. It's funny.
Yeah, no, I bet,
But then he went on, if that wasn't bad enough, getting canceled and losing, however, your deal, doubling down on Twitter. I don't think that's not the best. That didn't work for Kanye. I don't know why he thought it was gonna work for him. Like, no, I'm gonna fight them. I'm not racist. Send tweet.
Yeah.
So what's up, Danny?
Yeah.
Name of your biopic.
The name of my biopic, man. It's so hard to think about that because for one, it's not even over, right? Like, I'm like in the middle of it. I'm right in the middle of it. Like, I put all this time in these years in it. I'm seeing like the arc of my like career and all that. And it's like, it just, it's like, it's had its ups and downs, but now I'm seeing something about taking off. So it's like, it's hard for me to even, like, it's not finished yet. The story's just super unfinished, but yeah, the name of it.
They were going to make a sequel to Forrest Gump. You know what I'm saying? And that was a full life, baby. You know what I'm saying? You can always have 2 movies.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't think I'm good at coming up with names for that kind of shit. That's a hard one for me.
I got one for you.
Yeah, go for it. Right
in the middle of it.
That's perfect. I love it. I love it. Yeah, right in the middle of it. Oh, that's dope. Oh. We lost him?
Yeah.
It froze or something. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
But yeah. Yeah, right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, man. Oscar. And who would play you?
Oh my God. I always feel like that always just feels like you know what? Some Jew, that's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, let's be representative here.
Okay.
You know, because I was like, I mean, not that I really care. I think an actor is an actor. Like if you're good at what your craft is, do it. But yeah, you know, a lot of non-Jews get casted as Jews in Hollywood.
Yeah, now you know how it feels, man. You know what I'm saying? you know how it feels. I must speak on this. The funniest thing I've seen on social media this year, and it was kind of sad, but it was very amusing to me. They had Corey Feldman. He was going hard.
Oh, yeah.
Man. He was going hard. But the thing about it, though, it wasn't necessarily whack. It was just someone's impersonation of Michael Jackson.
Oh, right. I haven't seen this. I only heard about it.
Well, he's been doing that for a while, though. He's been going around as Michael Jackson. Like, that's how he dresses when he gets ready to just do stuff. I'm serious. He comes to the Comedy Store, and he's Michael Jackson. Oh,
well, that's weird. Yeah. I mean, I remember as a kid, he used to do all the dances, but I don't know what he's doing now. That sounds, yeah, man. He's, you know, that guy's had a rough life. You know, I mean, I don't know. Who knows what happened in those early days, but something bad, you know, with Corey Haim and all that, like something went down that wasn't good. So, you know, I feel bad for the guy, but I don't know what the backlash is. I haven't kept up with it.
Yeah.
What was the backlash?
No, he said he didn't know what the backlash was.
No, I don't either. What's the backlash?
Who knows? But I'll just say,
wait, what is it? You brought it up.
Well, people talk shit. That's all. I mean, they were just talking shit about it, right? Earlier, is that what it was? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's terrible. But what about Shia LaBeouf?
What was it? What was his situation?
No, to play you.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I think he's Jewish.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That works. That works. I'll take that. He's a good actor. Yeah. Fuck with that.
Right in the middle of it, starring Shia LaBeouf.
Okay.
Oscar nominated.
Hey man, break us off a little percentage for setting it off, man. Jeremy threw it into the universe, man.
I love that. Man. Absolutely. Yeah. I love that.
Starring Shia LaBeouf and Will Smith.
Okay.
I'm sure you had a black mentor figure. Will Smith needs some work. Oh, yeah.
Take my wife's name.
Yeah. Yeah. Has he come? I mean, he's come back, you know? He's not back.
No, he's good. He's great. Yeah. Fine.
He just had to just keep his head down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Keep his let it blow over. He'll be back. You know?
I like how Chris Rock also hasn't made a big deal about it. I'm sure he's going to do something at some point, but it's going to be on his terms, you know, not on some like Oprah show or some shit, right? He's going to probably
March 3rd. He's doing this comedy special that's going to be filmed live globally.
Oh, yeah. Where's that at?
It's going to be on Netflix, but it's filmed in Baltimore. It's the first live comedy special.
Okay. Well, Louis just did one. Right, he just did MSG.
Was it live?
Yeah.
Did it air live?
He aired it live, and then he made it available for like, you know, for like a certain. I think it's like for like 3 weeks.
Oh, but it's on his website, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's not in cahoots with like Netflix.
No, he's smart. First of all, Louis is intelligent. Louis is
knows what
killing the game.
Yeah.
He's the reason Ticketmaster and Live Nation merged because of people like him.
I know.
He sold all his tickets for any show he does, no matter where it is. You could buy it directly from his website for $20.
That's right. It wasn't like he wasn't gouging people either. He was smart. He's like, I make plenty of money. He's like, why do I need to gouge them? You know?
Yeah.
No, I respect that.
But the elites at Ticketmaster don't like that type of stuff at all. They're like, yo, you don't go around us.
No, they put Pearl Jam in the ground for that.
Really?
Yeah, like Pearl Jam tried to do that whole thing and they couldn't make it work. Even then. And now what? Live Nation like pretty much like owns every
venue. I don't man, that little chicken spot across the street from your house, that's a Live Nation venue.
No,
people do not know that. People do not realize that, man. Try to throw an event there. They'd be like, "Oh, we're booked out to 2025."
I know. That's some bullshit. Yeah, that's. I don't know. I wonder how that all affects us too. You know, like because like whatever. What's his name? Jason Miles. Like that's part of it, right? You know, there's all the charges to go to see a show is ridiculous. I mean, you know, it's like it's just like $20-$30 more just to go ahead. Then you know that's not even going to the artist. You know, it's a monopoly, whatever it is.
Yes.
Yeah. It's no fun. So yeah.
So I got a good one for you, man.
Okay. All right.
We down to our last two. If you could have your dream verses, dead or alive, two groups, who would you like to see battle each other?
Man, I mean, I think Big Daddy Kane be one of them for sure.
You're not gonna say the Meters against Samande? You're not gonna say?
Oh, you talking about bands? I think you're talking about rhymes.
Oh yeah, no, bands.
Oh shit, bands. Oh, okay. Bands? Damn. No. Okay, yeah, the Meters would definitely be one. And who could they battle? I mean, yeah, Samande, that'd be great. I mean, the Meters and like Booker T and the MGs would be an interesting one, right? Because they did a lot of the same type of thing, right? They were just these bands that like cruise around all these different studios and they play with everybody, right? They played like a lot of different styles too. Like they have a lot of things under their belt, but yeah, if they sat up right next to each other and just battled, whew, I mean, but in like 1972.
Nah, not the old beat down version.
No, man. No, half of those guys are dead anyways, actually, at this point. It sucks.
You know, I saw Freddie Hubbard in Long Beach in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And it was so sad to me because he was trying, it was at a little jazz club that probably held about maybe 40 people, 50 people in Long Beach. And his lip was just gone.
Oh yeah.
And he took the trumpet away from his mouth and he was drunk. And he was like, man, fuck this shit. Mm-hmm. And I just remember saying to myself, I hadn't started, you know what? It was earlier than that.
Yeah.
This was around 91. It was around 91. And I remember saying to myself, the wackest part about all this is that he really needed the money, else he would not be playing a small spot like this.
Yeah.
And his skill level had definitely deteriorated. And it was like he was hating to have to do what he was doing. And I kind of walking away from that. And I, you know, in my young 20s, like I really wasn't that empathetic to just so much, but I remember thinking to myself, him playing the horn in front of those people was probably like making somebody read that didn't know how to read in front of like a group of people. And I was just like, damn, that's a messed up. Yeah, that's a messed up way to have to be. And so I'm gonna hit you with the last question, man.
Yeah.
After COVID, all the crazy stuff that we've seen now, you know, you said everything is opened up, it's wide open, cracking. How do you see social progress going in the next 2 years?
Yeah. Well, you know, people were talking about how in the 20s after that pandemic happened, that, you know, the 20s came, the roaring 20s they called it, and people just went buck wild out there. You know, I feel like that's probably, I don't know if it'll be like that.
It's happening though. It's definitely
happening. Like I said, I noticed it, but you know, and it's funny because the last show we just played that we sold out in San Francisco, I mean, it was electric in there. I mean, people were definitely getting their drink on. It was just party. It was cracking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, yeah, you're probably right. I think it's definitely in the house. And I hope with these shows and this music, maybe that does bring us together. It does bring us, you know, together as people a little bit more. Because yeah, we need it. We've been cooped up. People have been sitting on their computers, probably just like hearing the worst shit ever, you know? just buying into all kinds of different things that we're here. All this that negative stuff just seems to travel so fast and so easily in these kind of social media platforms. I mean, so I'm hoping that, yeah, the fact that people can get out and experience things, feel like real energy, feel, be around people, that it helps this process, of us, healing. Like, it is difficult though, when things are so lopsided, that it is hard to see it getting fixed. I gotta be honest. I mean, I don't want to be doom and gloom about it. I'm gonna keep my head down and do this music thing until I can't, and I want to be around people that want to do it. I want to be in front of people that are down to see it. I want to, make sure I can play music with all my friends, be part of all that. And I'm grateful that I have that. But I don't know what this future holds. I'm worried for the generations to come. I'll be honest. I hope that getting out of this pandemic and getting out there does help. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that?
Oh man, I think that people are definitely is back on and cracking.
That's for sure.
What I'm saying? It was actually back on and cracking before it was supposed to be back on and cracking, because people
needed it.
People had it going on. It was all, I vision it kind of like how in South Africa they'd have these parties where you couldn't drink because they kind of didn't want black people and white people to mix together.
Right.
So they'd have these buckets. And then if they thought the police was coming, everybody would pour their drinks into this bucket. And then when the police left, they'd all go back into the bucket and drink.
Oh. Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
That was sanitation.
Yeah, so
Crazy story.
But I say that to say, man,
it's like diarrhea, man.
The groove did keep on going, man. So I feel like the groove is on the rise.
That's right.
The only thing that I think is kind of confusing is that you have all these high-powered festivals.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's too much talent, but it almost is kind of like, unless you're a group like Orgone, where you've put 20 plus years into it and developed this somewhat of a cult following, if you're just trying to do a show, people might not want to break bread to see the new average Joe when they can spend that $40 or $50 and see like 20 superstars.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm curious to see how that goes. I haven't been in the festival world in a minute, and I feel like there's two kinds of festivals, right? You have like the big major festivals, which are going to have like, probably the top acts. And then you have these other kind of festivals, like the more hippie ones that kind of like, we've dabbled in that zone, a bit. And they they'll bring in all kinds of shit too, but that fan base, man, they're getting old. Like, they're starting to die off, but I guess without them originally, you wouldn't even have a Coachella, you wouldn't even have a Glastonbury, you wouldn't have any of that. I'm just glad they still exist, because it's a place that we can all do what we do, which is nice. Yeah. So
until you get X'd out, or we get X'd out, and it's not going to be any instruments on the rider. It's not going to be any instruments on the rider, man. I'll say this real quick before we log out. I remember Danger Mouse telling me when he did the production for I don't know if he was talking about the production for the Demon Days or Gnarls Barkley, but I want to say that I think he was talking about Demon Days, but he was like, he did it on his computer, you know what I'm saying? And then they did, it might not have been the Gorillas, it might have been something he did after. I can't remember, but I remember he said that he's like, he did all his stuff on his computer, and I remember it was kind of like, how dare he say that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, you did an album on a computer and da da da.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of where it's at. With technology right now, you can do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, what Anderson .Paak made that whole record, on a laptop, I think,
Which one?
I think Malibu.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's genius, Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The whole music it's oversaturated. You know what I mean? Like there's, it's like there's in every genre, you have like 100 different artists that can do something in that style. Like, especially even with like the retro shit, like, we've been doing for years. We still record the tape and all that. Man, there's so many people out there doing that, getting those same exact old sounds, And it's like now you just kind of like sifting through it all. Like it's it's just like anything. It starts to kind of sound the same. And it's like things don't pop out as much, right? So that's what's interesting for me. Like as a DJ, I'm researching music every day. I go through. You guys use Bandcamp at all? Like I'm a fan. Bandcamp's kind of where it's at to me. I like I like the way Bandcamp works. It's a really good platform, and I think you get paid a lot more money to the artists and all that. But it's interesting. I just follow record labels.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, and I just keep up with it, and just to know, man. What is this label doing? What are they putting out? And it's just there's so much. It's hard to keep up with, and it's hard to show. How do you even make yourself known through all that? And so, that's what's interesting, like you said, because at the end of the day, you could be a kid in your bedroom making records. We didn't have that luxury. You had to go to a studio. You had to like save up a bunch of money.
100 an hour, 50 an hour. Oh no, look at 50 an hour.
I mean, it was like impossible to make a record back then. We used to do it, just the cheap ways. Let's get a little 4-track cassette tape or something. That's what we used to do. But, I mean, it's so different now. But you're right. It's like just starting out. I mean, we have a foot in the door. That's the thing, And I've also, I've at least got a history of playing with a bunch of different people, over the years and getting in there, getting out and playing with all kinds of people, man. So I feel really lucky for that alone. And I do like when I think back, I appreciate the opportunity with you guys, man, with the Pharcyde. That like really like set me straight for so many things. I hadn't really done any tours like that. I learned so much. I learned what it's like to tour. I learned like, well, shit, I'm sure being an asshole right now. I mean, like, you learn all those dynamics, By the way, speaking of crazy motherfuckers, I've run into brother a bunch of times in the club.
Yeah, man.
Boy, and he's still out there as ever, that one. I love that.
Yeah.
You remember once in a while?
Yeah. No, we it's so funny because we drove all over Europe in a Sprinter van before they became luxury. It was it was nothing luxurious about
nothing about it.
Those
seats were not
that is funny.
Those seats were not comfortable.
Yeah, nothing blacked out, no tinted, no tint, nothing. It was sun blaring. You know what I'm saying? And all that. Well, we definitely gonna have you back, Danny, because we didn't even get to talk about this project you got cracking.
Yeah,
What we'll do is we'll have you come back after the project jumps off, and then that goes, and that'll be a whole nother conversation. You want to tell people where they can check Orgone or any of your projects out at?
Yeah, for sure. Go check Orgone out. We have you can find us on all the socials, and you can see our tour schedule. We have a big kind of US tour in April, mostly like Pacific Northwest, kind of like the Colorado, Montana, all that, and Washington, Oregon, California. And then, Orgone is also the rhythm section. We're the band for this new group called Say She She. It's these 3 girl singers from New York, and it's starting to really, really pop off. We've done a bunch of recording with them. We got an album coming out with them that we're deeply part of, and we're heading up to Europe and the UK in a couple of weeks, and we'll be out there doing that. You can check them out on all the socials as well. And that's kind of the 2 things. I also have a label called Ritual Release. I've been putting out music with my partner Simon Wolfie James, and you can find that on socials as well. And just keep an eye out. I'll be putting out music.
Dope. And you, Jeremy, what you got coming up?
Let's see, coming up. How about this? Let's focus on San Diego, mic drop, March 24th and 25th. Was it 2 shows, 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock? Doing all 4 nights. Please help me sell that out. Other than that, just catch me in Hollywood Comedy Store, mostly on Fridays. I got other shows, you know, follow me on Instagram at Jeremy Comedy if you want updates.
Dope. Well, no, man, this has been another episode of Splendid Radio on Pharcyde TV.